Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Unash and Dukes podcast coming your way here on our YouTube channel, the Unash and Dukes podcast YouTube channel. That's all you need to do. Enter that when you go to YouTube, and you can highlight these, take a look at the archived editions, other things as well. So give us a subscribe, a like, what have you, comments. Got a lot of good comments. A couple people thanking us for bringing back the podcast. They're new to it, didn't know about it. Tell your friends, spread the word, all that good stuff. Scott and Mark with you. Full disclosure, we're actually recording this on Sunday evening. I'm going to because I'm in a hotel in Altoona.
It
If you,
looks wonderful.
oh, it's nothing but the best, Clark.
Uh,
Um, no, and I will not give it. They're not, comping me, so I'm not going to give them a plug or anything like that. But getting ready for the girls' state tournament, which gets underway this week and looks to be free of snow. Now, rain might be a different story, but we need some rain according to the meteorologist. So maybe we'll get that taken care of this week. And temperature is going to be in the 50s by the time the championships roll around on Friday and Saturday. And, basketball going to be a big part of our conversation here today. First of all, thanks to Emil's Hideaway and First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids. They're the presenting sponsor, open at 4 o'clock Monday through Saturday. And they are across from the Lindale Mall next to the Home Depot. Thanks to Chris and Jamie, the entire staff and the gang over there. They're some of our best supporters. We do appreciate them, as well as Hunt Graphic Innovations, Dr. John Woolner at Epiphany Dermatology on Council Street Northeast in Cedar Rapids, Bim Ritter Sportswear at bimritter.com in downtown Cedar Rapids, and Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance. Kurt located on Johnson Avenue Northwest in Cedar Rapids, right across from the Johnson Avenue High V. And it's March. Welcome to March, Mark. No February frenzy anymore. It's now March Madness, baby.
Well, it's a heck of a month, isn't it? And you're starting it tomorrow or today, whenever you listen, the girls' state tournament this week, and then we've already had the wrestling, but boys basketball after that. All these conference tournaments in college basketball. Uh, Before you know it, baseball beginning. March is a wonderful month in that regard.
It is. My White Sox are sucking me in, by the way, by playing fun, good baseball early. They're sucking me in, Mark.
Spring training is like preseason polls, Scott.
They don't matter. I just hope for 500. That's what we're going for this year. But yeah, first tournaments, conference tournaments, brackets are set for some of the smaller leagues, if you will, the non-majors, not even mid-majors. Although the first mid-major to come around is the Missouri Valley, and we'll see. Tell you what, it's building. It's building for Belmont. If they don't win the MVC, if they keep rolling, they could get an at-large. Interesting that Bruce Pearl came out, your favorite basketball team, Miami of Ohio. He thinks they have to win the MAC championship to get in, even though they've won 30 plus games and haven't lost yet. I think Bruce Pearl's nuts on that. I think he's got a very good, keen mind for basketball. I don't know how you can deny a team that has won 30 games and lost none if they have a bad night to get into the tournament. But he knows more about basketball than we do, right, Mark?
Well, I think they'll get the auto bid. Belmont, I think, will get the auto bid out of the Missouri Valley. Although, you look at UNI's path, and it's not that bad. It's away from Belmont. And I watched a little bit of Belmont this weekend, and it's a nice team. I know they were only had lost 4 games going into the weekend. I watched that game and watched some of the Big Ten and Big 12 games. There's no comparison.
Oh, that's true. You're right. You're right. But you still got to go out and win 30 times
Against who?
against
Anyway,
teams like Kent, who's very good in the MAC, and others. Not so much the directional Michigans this year. A little bit off. But hey, before we get to Iowa and Iowa State and their problems this weekend, I hope that this continues. But if you did not, and they may play one more time, probably will in the West Coast Conference Championship game. But the best rivalry in the West Coast ended at least their conference back and forth and two times a year. Gonzaga and St. Mary's again last night. And I'm going to miss that rivalry if they do not renew it. I hope they do. At least play once a year, Gonzaga and St. Mary's. Now that Gonzaga is going to the new pack, whatever they're going to call it. Um, it's one of the best rivalries, maybe the least known best rivalry in college basketball.
Certainly one of the best on the West Coast, and Gonzaga lost that game, I believe. Did it? Did it not?
Yes.
St. Mary's took care of them, but it's a brand new world in college sports and has been for quite some time. So yeah, it'd be nice if they got together, and I think they will. With all the non-conference availabilities out there, I don't see why they can't play.
Yep. 70-59, St. Mary's beat Gonzaga last night. Not going to hurt Gonzaga in any way. And that probably solidified St. Mary's to get in. The question is, will Santa Clara be the third team out of the West Coast Conference to get in? They're probably the king of the mid majors, but that's probably going to go down with Gonzaga leaving that league for next year. Did we put off Iowa and Iowa State's post mortem enough?
I think you can, yeah, we can put it off longer if you want because it was dreadful.
Uh, Iowa's more dreadful, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. You lose to the last place. Penn State was the last place team, clear by 2 games going into that one yesterday. And you and I have gone back and forth. I hope people know out there or remember how difficult it's been for whatever reason for Iowa to win at Penn State. What have they lost? Six out of the last seven
Yep.
out there? I just, it's hard. Penn State's had better teams. This is not one of them. But you shoot 64% from the field, you make 60% of your threes. That has a lot to do with Iowa's defense, but players knocking down threes that, might have one or two in another game. It was just one of those games Iowa never took control, couldn't take control. Um, and the crowd didn't have anything to do with it, right, Scott? How many did you count?
There may have been 3,000 people at
Yeah.
Bryce Jordan Center.
And that's just sometimes as bad as a packed house at Michigan State. I mean, it's like playing in a scrimmage or something. But you don't, I can't make any excuses for this game. I will say that for the first time all year, I think I questioned Ben McCollum's choices down the stretch with Hausen on the floor. Um, Hausen's a nice player, but he's kind of one-dimensional. He's a three-point shooter. And if he gets hot, great. It's going to be great for the offense. But I think he works hard on defense, but he's limited. And I can't believe that. And I'm not calling Ben McCollum a liar by any means, but McCollum basically said Fulgaris and Tate and others weren't ready defensively for that stretch. Even if they weren't ready, were they not as good as Hausen or somebody else on the floor? I just didn't get the combination down the stretch, and I'm not sure that's why Iowa lost the game. You don't lose the game typically, um, at the end. It's everything that led up to that, and a lot of it was not very good for Iowa.
I was going to ask you, I think more people were angered by who Ben McCollum had on the floor in the last 8 minutes of that game than Iowa actually losing that game. And I don't think it's a real swat at Hazen and people like that. It's just that, okay, Fulgaris coming off his best game as a Hawkeye for
Yeah,
them. And where's he at? Where's Tate Sage at? Who hit a three in the first half? I don't think I'm not the world's expert on basketball, I did not see anything that they did that was particularly wrong. Obviously, Ben McCollum and his staff saw something they didn't like. And keep in mind, it's matchups too. Maybe he saw something offensively or defensively that said, okay, Hazen needs to go in there and play. But he was over from three. He gave up not only the spinning layup for the winning points for Penn State, but was beaten a couple other times for buckets. Did have a couple of nice assists. I'm not going to say he didn't. It wasn't a complete, throwaway. And I'm not, and I shouldn't throw it all on his lap either. I mean, other guys didn't play very good defense, and like you said, Penn State was hitting everything. I mean, there's one of
Yeah.
those days that what you can do, but like I said, more people I think were angered by the fact that that same group stayed out there and they weren't getting the job done for the last 8 minutes.
Yeah, if they weren't angry, they were perplexed. They wondered. Hausen, I don't think had played in the last three games, or had played sparingly. He wasn't a key player in the rotation, and maybe McCollum was, sending a message to Fulgaris or Tate or anybody else that could have been in there. But I think, and you and I have talked about it. I think Fulgaris either is or could be the X factor on this team because of his offensive abilities. And McCollum has said more than once that it might have to sacrifice on the defensive end with some lineups that are stronger offensively and vice versa. Well, if you don't have five complete players, you're going to have to do that sometimes. And McCollum chose to put Hausen on the floor for whatever reason. And certainly not all the blame is on Hausen, but just that whole game, I thought there were times in that game after halftime that I thought I was ready to put it away, ready to take a big lead and secure the thing, but it never happened.
Never happened. Now, what does this do for Iowa? That's the question. Panic set in. Everybody was headed to the ledge last night and most of the afternoon after that game. Iowa still has 10 wins in the Big Ten. Now, I think what made it not only who Ben McCollum had on the floor for the last several minutes of that game, but also the fact people know what Iowa has coming up this week, which is daunting to say the least. Senior night against number 3 Michigan, who's just right now rolling roughshod through anybody that puts five guys, against them on the court, and then senior day at Nebraska for their greatest season in program history. You,
Yeah.
you can see two losses coming down the road. So 10-10. Looking at the standings, even 10-10, more than likely Iowa gets that eighth spot in the double bye because of tiebreakers, etc. It's not a foregone conclusion that they will, but it looks as though Iowa's going to get eight, but that gets you Michigan again, more than likely, coming around in the quarterfinals of the Big Ten tournament. But um, in fact, every bracketologist I've looked at this weekend still has Iowa solidly in. No one has said Iowa is in trouble. I think the only way Iowa could be in trouble is okay, you go home, you lose by 25 to Michigan, you go to Lincoln and you get run out of the gym, and then you lose and get run out of the gym again in Chicago. Maybe, but I think Iowa's done enough on their resume that they're going to sneak into the tournament.
Well, even after that game, I saw CBS Sports had Iowa 7 seed in its bracketology, which is a pretty nice cushion right now. But you look at, uh, you talk about the impact of that loss yesterday. Should Iowa lose to Michigan? Should it lose to Illinois? Should it lose in the first round of the Big Ten tournament? That's four straight losses to end of the year. And I'm not so sure that Ohio State can't pass Iowa for that 8 seed. Ohio State defeated Purdue, and I think should it win out and Iowa loses out, I think Ohio State jumps ahead of Iowa in the standings. I'd have to look back on that to make sure, but my point is that the margins, because of that loss, the margins for error have decreased. That loss coupled with what's ahead, I think right now, if Iowa plays fairly well against Michigan, Nebraska, you know, who knows, gets a win. I don't expect it to happen, but plays fairly well and wins a game in the Big Ten tournament. I don't think they have anything to worry about.
Ohio State right now is tied with Iowa. Ohio State, this will infuriate people. Ohio State goes to Happy Valley Wednesday night, and I guarantee you Penn State shoots 24%.
Yeah, yeah,
And then they close out with Indiana. And
yeah.
that game could be, I mean, Ohio State's looking better after the Purdue win. Indiana's in huge trouble. Um, so we'll see. Iowa's got the tiebreaker over Ohio State, though, with the head to head win. So Iowa does have that in their back pocket. If Iowa can somehow wrangle one win, then I think that eighth seed is looking, you know, 80% like it's going to happen.
Nebraska's a better chance, obviously. I mean, Michigan went on the road to Illinois and clobbered Illinois, and Illinois is a better team than Iowa. I think everybody would agree. Everybody has an off day though, and you know, it's kind of hard to believe that after watching the game against Penn State that Iowa would have a chance against Michigan. But man, college basketball is so screwy. To a lesser extent, Ohio State and Purdue. Granted, it wasn't Columbus, but Ohio State looked like a far better team than it did in Iowa City. It has to do with the venue, it has to do with the matchups, it has to do with so much. Michigan has locked up the Big Ten. How motivated are they going to be Thursday night? Maybe they don't need to be too motivated. I don't know.
I think Dusty May is dang good.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing the Michigan Wolverines on Thursday night. That's going to be a lot of fun. It is Unash and Duke's podcast, talking college basketball with you. We are presented by Emil's Hideaway on First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids. Iowa State, not a good weekend. The men fall to Texas Tech, the JT Toppin-less Texas Tech Red Raiders, 82-73. Iowa State's first loss at home, 15-1 now at Hilton Coliseum. Who needs JT Toppin when Donovan Atwell did what he did yesterday, and Texas Tech shot the ball as well as they did. Um, Texas Tech took it to Iowa State. They were the tougher
Yeah.
team in that game, and it more than likely cost Iowa State a seed line. Everybody has them as a 3 now, after being a 1 just 1 week ago for the Cyclones. All is not lost, granted, but that was uh, that was a little bit shocking to me yesterday.
Yeah, and it wasn't really close. I mean, Iowa State tried to, I think it got within six late in the game, but Texas Tech responded at each turn. And like we talked about Iowa, what's the reward? They get Michigan. What's the reward for Iowa State? Number two, Arizona. A team that Texas Tech beat at Arizona, granted, Toppin played. This is still a really good Texas Tech team, especially when it shoots the ball like it did. And a lot of quickness, uh, good defense. Uh, I think they're going to be a problem when you make out your NCAA brackets, even
Yeah,
without Toppin.
Iowa State's got a turnaround, and they got to go to Tucson on Monday night, and Arizona is really, really good and even better at home. And then Iowa State will have senior day against Arizona State. So you got to think 1 and 2 um, is probably going to be where Iowa State will end up. They don't have the tiebreaker against Texas Tech, split with Kansas. So, I mean, Iowa State's going to end up somewhere no worse than fifth. Um, Looks like Iowa State, Kansas is coming around again for the third time this year.
That could very well be in Kansas. What a screwy team that is. I mean, um, a lot of it has to do with Allen Fieldhouse, but that's an up and down team. And I guess it comes down to whoever gets hot towards the end. And Iowa State didn't have it against Texas Tech, and it's a very capable team, but it lacks something, and I can't put my finger on it. Um, so much of TJ Otzelberger's teams, it's been defense. And when it plays great defense, gets steals, gets the break going, whatnot, the half court game, there just seems to be a little something off. Um, and I can't put my finger on it. I don't know.
I'm with you. And, if people are complaining about Iowa, about who was on the floor at the end, they're complaining about, oh boy, Cyclone fans are saying out there, here we go again. This is what happened last year. Such a great start. And then things kind of, they didn't fall apart at the end, but just, obviously the second round, exit in the NCAA tournament is not what Cyclone fans had in mind last year. Certainly, it's not what they have in mind going into this year. Uh, Keep in mind, though, Iowa State's front half of the Big 12 was set up to win games.
Hmm.
The back half has been where Iowa State has played all the biggies. And I think that has a little bit to do with it. This team needs to get a little tougher, I think. I think they've lost their edge a little bit. Um, the defense, much like Iowa, was not quite there against Texas Tech. And, the Red Raiders are good, even without Toppin. This is still a very
Yeah.
talented basketball team.
Yeah, they really are. And Iowa State's got more than, unlike Iowa, for example, Bennett Sturts is the showcase player. I mean, you've got Jefferson, you got Lipsy, you got Momcilovic. Different. You don't need to depend on one guy each and every time. I think the toughness thing is you might have hit on something there.
I think TJ Otzelberger is going to fix this thing.
Yeah,
If Now, granted, it may not happen on Monday night. That's going to be tough because
yeah,
Arizona is elite. And Iowa State, I'm not saying Iowa State's not elite, but Arizona at home, I don't know if it's their senior night or not, but it's going to be it's going to be tough on
yeah.
Lute and Bobby Olson Court down in Tucson at the McHale Center. uh, Unash and Duke's podcast coming your way, presented by Emel's Hideaway. Big thanks as well to Kurt Gustafson, Agency of American Family Insurance, Ben Ritter Sportswear in downtown Cedar Rapids, Dr. John Woolner at Epiphany Dermatology on Kelsey Street Northeast, and Hunt Graphic Innovations. And, it is a week that makes you and I feel a little long in the tooth, Mark. Uh, Happy birthday, belated, to our friend Zach Johnson, who we've talked to on many different occasions, talked to his dad on many different occasions. Well, this week, Zach Johnson will make his debut on the PGA Champions Tour as he is already committed to this week's event. In fact, Zach said he is going to basically be a regular on the Champions Tour for the rest of this season, barring three tournaments, still going to play at the John Deere Classic. Who knows what the future of the John Deere Classic is going into 2027 with the upheaval that the PGA Tour is planning with the schedule. There's talk of shrinking down the schedule. I hope the Deere stays at some point during the season. We'll have to wait and see. Um, so he's going to play the Deere. He's going to play the Masters, and he said one more, which would be the RSM Classic in the fall. That's a home game for him. Didn't say anything about the Open Championship, which Zach is able to play until he is 60 by virtue of his win at St. Andrews several years ago. But um, Zach's ready. He's ready to be a top 10 driver in distance on the senior tour. And it'll be great. He's pumping up for it.
Really hard to believe how time flies, and I know Zach would probably feel the same way, but he's embracing this really, and you look at this, what he has said about the Champions Tour, playing it pretty much full time, and a few other things. I think this has been set up for quite some time. It's just been officially announced because you look at the Champions Tour schedule. The event is in Madison, Wisconsin, in early June. The following Monday after that tournament is the Zach Johnson Foundation Classic. I don't think that's any coincidence. But Zach's going to spend a lot of time in June uh, in Iowa or in the Midwest with that tournament at Madison, the Principal Charity Classic in Des Moines, the John Deere Classic, all within about a month of one another. Zach's even talked about very preliminarily having a tournament of his own, like Jim Furyk and Steve Stricker have had. That'd be interesting. And where would it be? But just moving to the Champions Tour, you know this as well as anybody, Scott. It's not a slam dunk that Zach's going to go out and win five tournaments. If he wins five tournaments in 3 years, I think that'd be really good. If you watched any of the tournaments on the Champions Tour, these guys can play, and guys can play that. You know, you got your Patrick Harringtons and Stuart Sinks and people like that, but a guy like Stephen Alker, who didn't do a damn thing on the PGA Tour. He dominates sometimes on the Champions Tour. You got all kinds of players like that. Zach's going to have to, these are a lot of these courses are not familiar to him or as familiar as ones on the PGA Tour. So he's going to have to get used to some of those. He's familiar with some, don't get me wrong. But I think he's going to have a good career. I'm fascinated to watch it. I really am.
I am too. And you're right. Now, in the day, and this maybe goes back 10 years ago or to 15 years ago. Um, yeah, the Champions Tour, you could say, okay, this guy's coming out there, he's going to win 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore. I mean, there are too many good golfers out there. Tommy Gainey won a couple times, two gloves. Um,
Two gloves.
yes, Tommy two gloves Gainey, and yeah, it's not the same old Champions Tour that we remember from 20, 25 years ago. Um, is Tiger going to play once he gets out on the course? I think we will see Tiger out there. That's going to bring, I don't know what that's going to do to the Champions Tour. Um, the U.S. Senior Open, I think you're going to see Tiger out there if he is available to play. And he's going to try to win some more USGA events. Zach's going to try to win a USGA event. It's not put the pins in the middle of the green and put the tees up anymore on the Champions Tour. I mean, this is good golf with good players that were very good tour players in their day. And that's what Zach's got to go up against. Now, he is 50. He's going to have a little bit of an advantage over Bernhard Longer, who's 60, what,
7
68?
or 8. Yeah. Yeah.
But still, it's you like you said, you got to learn the courses. He knows a couple of them. Obviously, he knows Wakanda in Des Moines, played there a million times when he was at Drake. I'm sure he knows. He talked about Firestone that he loves. He played that a lot when the World Series of Golf was there on the regular PGA Tour. So he knows a few of these venues, but yeah, it's not going to show up, collect big checks, and get a lot of trophies. He's still going to have to put the
Not,
work in.
not like the Cedar Rapids Senior City Am or the Champions Tour. You got to putt, right?
That's right.
You got to putt well. Hit greens and putt well, and that's going to be key for Zach. And I think he's very capable of doing that. And this class in 2026, the graduated players, so to speak, include Tiger, like you said, Zach, and Ryan Palmer. Those are the prominent players. How much Tiger plays, I don't know. Ryan Palmer will do well out there too, I think. He's a type of player who would do very well. And then the next year, I think you got a pretty good class too. Kevin Streelman and people like that eligible. So the point is, it's really good golf. Whether it's Patrick Harrington or some of these other guys we talked about, Angel Cabrera's back from prison. Uh, uh, well, he is. Um, yeah, there's just a lot of good players out there, and I'm eager to see how Zach does.
Uh, that's this week, so
It
tune
is. It's
in.
in Boca Raton.
That's right. And they're playing, it's the Hall of Fame thing too. They're playing with former football players,
Yep.
right?
Hmm. Another thing about this tour, and a lot of players have a problem. A lot of these tournaments are 3 rounds. And how many times have we seen Zach or any other golfer put together 3 really good rounds and a fourth round? So 3 round tournaments are going to be a little bit different.
Kane Lowry wishes it was a 3 rounder.
He did. He blew it today.
Oh, ugh, that was ugly. Ugly to watch. I'm so interested in watching Zach. You know, Champions Tour is getting bigger each year. Granted, it's not the PGA Tour. We get it. We're not trying to say it is. Uh, but I tell you what, watch how many of these events, the big ones, start going on regular television when a certain golfer starts
Oh,
playing.
yeah. They're playing for a lot less money. I mean, most of these purses are 3 million, something like that, as opposed to the regular PGA Tour event that it's like 9 million. So they're going to be playing for less money. You know, the winner's going to get 300,000, something like that, which is equivalent to sixth, seventh, eighth place on a PGA Tour event. I mean, Zach made nearly 600,000 when he finished eighth in the Masters last year. There's a big difference in money. But listen, all these guys in the championship, they're not clipping coupons, so they're not necessarily worried about money. They're worried about their legacy more than anything else.
True. Very true about that. So congratulations and best of luck to Zach
Yeah.
as he will tee it up coming up this weekend on the Champions Tour on the PGA. Do not call it the Senior Tour. It's the Champions. All right. I'm looking forward to my week in Des Moines. Few days anyway. So go wash, go Mount Vernon, and we'll get together again midweek.
Yep, it's a busy Monday. We'll talk to Mark Ironside later in the week as we head towards the Big Ten championships, and we'll see if some of our area teams can make those title games.
There you go. All right. Big thanks to Emil's Hideaway, our presenting sponsor. Thanks as well to Dr. John Woolner at Epiphany Dermatology, Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance, Bim Ritter, Hunt Graphic Innovations, and once again to Emil's Hideaway on First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids. All right, Mark, take care. We'll talk next time.
All right, room service is calling right now, so
Yeah, yeah, getting hungry. All
take care,
right.
buddy.
All
All right.
right. This has been the Unash and Dukes podcast. Thanks, everybody, for viewing and listening. We'll talk to you next time.